Hello, class. I'm going to answer problem 9 from the 7-2 homework. It says, the accompanying data represents the total compensation for 12 randomly selected chief executive officers and the company's stock performance. Use the data table below to answer a few questions. All right, so I click the table, and it looks like I have this is the amount of money the CEO made, right? So for company A, the CEO made $13 million, right? The CEO of company B made $3 million, $3 million and change. And it shows you how the stock performed, right? So maybe company B is IBM or Apple, and the CEO's paid $3 million, and the stock return is 62%, right? Company G looks like the CEO made $11 million, and the stock return was only less than 1%. All right, so let's take a look at this data and answer some questions, okay? So if I click this table here, I can copy the table or open in StatCrunch. I'll open in StatCrunch. And here's my data. And let's see what we need here. All right, so we need compensation as the explanatory variable, X. So that means the return would be Y, and we need to figure out here this beta naught and beta 1. Okay, so I press stat. We do regression, simple linear. And my X variable was, I believe, the compensation. And my Y variable was the stock return, right? Compensation and stock return. And let's see, I think that's all I need to do for now. I press compute. And let's see what we have here. Okay, so this beta sub 1, you think of that as the slope. So we need to go 3 decimal places. So 1, 2, 3. So I have to round that 4 up to a 5. And I will press check answer. And I get a nice work. So that's good. First part done. Second part, beta naught. Okay, that is the y-intercept. So here's my intercept, and it says go to 1 decimal place. So I have to round that up to a 3. And I press check my answer. Okay, so far we're looking good. Second piece, okay. It asks for null and alternative hypothesis, and then it looks like we're going to test this at a 0.10 level of significance. So we want to look at our slope, and we want to determine if a linear relation exists. If my slope equals 0, then we do not have a linear relationship. So my null hypothesis would be that B sub 1, beta 1, equals 0, and the alternative would be that it does not equal 0. Check answer, I get a fantastic. Next, it says compute the test statistic using technology. Okay, I think we've already done that as well. Let's take a look. Yeah, look at this. Inside our window, okay, it says t-stat, right? So for the slope, we're looking at this value here. Oops, went too far. And it says go to 2 decimal places. So I have to round that. I have to round this to 0.08. Right? StatCrunch is very picky about your rounding. I press check answer. We're looking good. Let's keep going. Compute the p-value using technology. Here's the p-value for the slope. And it says go 3 decimal places. I enter that in here. And check answer. Still looking good. And then it says state the appropriate conclusion. All right, so if our p-value is greater than 0.10, we do not reject. So this value is greater, so we do not reject. So we will say, let's see here. So we have B and C are our do not reject. Okay, so I'm going to select choice B. There's not sufficient evidence to conclude that a linear relationship exists, right? Because if we're not rejecting H sub 0, or a null hypothesis, that means there's a chance that a slope could be 0. For slope 0, we're not going to have a linear relationship. Let's take a look. I have to press the check answer, and we get a good job. Last piece. Okay, let's do confidence interval. So I go back to my window, and we can just make an edit here, right? If I put options, edit, and scroll down, instead of a hypothesis test, I click confidence interval, and I forget what level did they want to see. 90% confidence interval. So let's change that to 0.90. And I think that's it. I press compute. And let's look for our upper and lower limits, right? So remember, here's intercept, y-intercept, the slope. So we're looking at these limits down here. So the lower bound to 2 decimal places would look something like this. And the upper bound would look something like this. And again, I think they said 2 decimal places. And we check answer, and we get the good job. All right, and so notice that our lower bound is below 0 and our upper bound is above 0. So that means our interval does contain 0. So that means we would not reject the null hypothesis, right? We would not reject this here. So let's read our options. So I'm going to say, based on the results, the regression line should not be used to predict stock return. The mean stock would be a good estimate, right? We can't use the regression line because, remember, we didn't have enough evidence to conclude that a linear relation exists. I press check answer, and I get the well done. That's it for question 9. Thank you for watching.